Hello, welcome to Eyeturk podcast. This is Maaz Belkheir from Eyeturk Real Estate and Consulting, and this is our second episode of the Eyeturk podcast. In this episode, we're going to talk about how you can establish a company in Turkey as a foreigner. If you're new, our podcast is weekly and it's going to cover topics, and we're going to talk about things that are important for foreigners and investors who want to invest or live in Turkey. So our episode today is going to be about how you can establish a company, and we're going to answer questions like, why is it good to invest in Turkey? What type of companies can you establish? What is the process? Also, we're going to cover the taxation for foreigners in Turkey. So if you have any questions, you can write them in the comments below, and we're going to answer them at the end of the video. So the first question we're going to cover is, why is it good to invest in Turkey? Well, Turkey has a robust economy. It's been growing steadily. It's considered in the top 20 countries in terms of GDP. It has a large economy. Even with the COVID situation, the most businesses were still carrying out their operations. There are a lot of incentives provided by the government for foreign investors. You can have complete foreign ownership of companies. You don't need a local to be a partner in the company. The process of establishing a company is very straightforward and easy. You can do it in the same day. If you take all the papers you need, you can go to the trade registry and have it in under an hour. The cost itself is very inexpensive. The requirements also are straightforward. You don't need any special permissions, unless, of course, your company, or you want to establish a company in a specific sector like energy or some financial services sectors. So what are the types of companies you can establish in Turkey? Well, there are, according to the Turkish Commercial Code, there are five main categories. The first one is it's the joint stock company, JSC, or in Turkish, anonim şirketi. This is very favorable by foreign investors. And then there's the limited liability company, LLC, which is limited şirketi. It's also very popular for small and mid-sized businesses. And then we have the cooperative, the collective, and the commandite or limited partnership company. So the most favorable or the most popular companies are the joint stock and the limited liability companies. I would say around, according to statistics, around 95% of companies are either joint stock companies or limited liability companies. The process of establishing these two companies is very easy, straightforward. We're going to talk about each one of them. So the joint stock company, why people take it? Because it's easy to go public. If you decide to go public and trade and transfer the shares, there's a lot of fluidity. You don't need special consent from the government unless you're going into some special sectors. You can establish the joint stock company with only one single shareholder or a group. It can go, there's no limit on how many shareholders you can have, but if you exceed 500 shareholders, then it becomes compulsory for you to go public and make your statements public. What is the minimum capital requirement for a joint stock company? Well, according to the law, the minimum capital requirement is around 50,000 Turkish lira, or around 7,000 US dollars. If you want to have a share registered system, then the minimum capital requirement becomes 100,000 Turkish lira, or equivalent to $14,000. The minimum capital requirement is you don't need to have the amount blocked. You can just deposit it in the bank. It's on the paper that this is the capital of the company, and for the joint stock company you need to deposit 25% prior to registering or establishing the company, and then you can deposit the remaining 75% within 24 months or 2 years. Also keep in mind that in some special or specific sectors like energy or banking, the minimum capital requirement is much higher, can go up to hundreds or tens of millions of Turkish liras. There are also special permits and special requirements, but generally speaking, if you choose one of the activities, the general activities, you don't need any special request. You can do the whole thing in a day or two. So now we go to the limited liability company. This is very popular for small and medium-sized businesses. The limited liability company, LLC, the minimum capital requirement is only 10,000 Turkish lira. 10,000 Turkish lira is equivalent of $1,400. You can do it with one single shareholder, or it can go up to 50 shareholders. More than 50, then you might need to change your company from a limited liability company to a joint stock company. The difference between the limited liability company and the stock joint company is usually small and middle-sized businesses often start with a limited liability company form. The taxes are less, the minimum capital requirement is less, but you're limited from working in certain sectors. So let's say if you want to open a travel agency, or you want to work in export-import, or you want to work in consulting, you can open a limited liability company. But let's say you want to open a telecommunications company, you want to open an energy company, you might require to open a joint stock company. So we go to the next question. How can I establish a company in Turkey? What are the steps for establishing a company in Turkey? Well, it's very easy. The first thing you need to do is to decide what kind of activities you want to do, what is your budget, what is the capital you're planning to invest in the company, and how you're going to operate. Based on a lot of factors, you can decide which type or which form of company is best suited for you. It might be limited liability company, it might be a joint stock company. The steps of establishing the business is very simple. First, you need to get a tax number from the tax department. We're going to cover very shortly how you can do this. And you're going to submit the memorandum or the articles of association to Mersis. Mersis is an electronic registry record system here in Turkey, and it gives you the outlying paper for establishing the company. Step 2, you prepare signature declarations of the company officials and you head to the trade registry office. Step number 3, you pay a percentage, which is 0.04% to the competition authority. You can do this at the trade registry office. Let's say you have a company with a capital of 100,000 Turkish lira. 0.04% is about 400 Turkish lira. You can pay them at the trade registry office. Another thing, if you are a limited liability company, you do not need to deposit your capital in the bank at this stage. You have 2 years. Within 2 years, you can do it one time. You can do it a couple of times, like let's say after 2 months you put 10,000 lira, and then after a year you put 50,000. At the end of the year, you should have in your company's bank account statement an amount totaling up to the capital you have put in your papers. If you're a joint stock company, however, you cannot move forward with your application unless you deposit 25% of the capital of your company. The remaining 75% can be deposited within 2 years. So after you go to the trade registry office, if you have all your papers, you can do it in less than an hour. Everything is electronic. There are some signatures. As a foreigner, you need to have a registered translator to translate for you the papers and the process. Step number 4, after you make your application to the trade registry directorate with all the documents, you can also do this by a power of attorney. If you don't want to go there in person, you can assign an attorney and he can do the process for you. Can you establish a company if you're abroad? Yes, you can do this by power of attorney, and the whole process is done while you're not even in Turkey. So what are the required documents for establishing a company in Turkey? Or what are the required documents for establishing a joint stock company? Well, you need a tax number, and you need a picture of your passport. You need to prepare the following documents. The first is the articles of association, of which the founders of the company have signed. This is you can get this prepared by a lawyer. You need to have the document showing that you have deposited 25% of the capital into the company's bank account. You need to have a proof of your 0.04% payment to the competition authority. If you have declared non-cash capital for your company, such as land, you need to have an expert approved by the court to give a report of how much this land is evaluated. Also, if there's any intellectual property rights you want to put as your assets, you also need some report showing how much this is valued. So if you're planning to have some people in your board of directors who do not own shares in the company, you need a written statement from them that they agree to accept this duty. So you can have a real person as a shareholder, and you can have a legal person or a legal identity as a shareholder. A legal identity or a legal person can be another company which is buying shares or establishing this company. In case of that, you would also need some papers showing who is the representative for this company. You also need the signature of the people who are establishing or managing the company. The joint stock company is going to have a shareholder assembly and a board of directors. What are the documents required for the registration of a limited company? Well, first you need to have a company agreement with approved signatures of founders. You need a written statement for members of the board who are not partners in the company. If you have, if you have a land which you want to, or non-cash assets which you want to include in the company's capital, you need a report from an expert on this matter and an evaluation. Same thing with intellectual property rights. You need a signature declaration of the founders of the company, the partners, and you need to sign the owners, the partners of the company, and the people who are going to be managing the company. It needs, for the limited liability company, the managing director of the business needs to be also a partner in the business. So these documents, usually you do not, like as a foreigner, you do not prepare them on your own. Usually it's done through a lawyer or a consulting company which helps you with the process and the documents. So we move to the tax number. Yeah. So we said that in order to submit the memorandum and articles of association, you need, as a foreigner, you need a tax ID number. If you don't have a tax ID number, it's easy to do that. You just need a petition requesting that you get an ID number and an articles of association for the company, and a copy of the rental agreement for the address of the company. You can also do this by power of attorney, but make sure that it is written specifically that the attorney or the lawyer is acting on behalf of you to get you a tax ID number. This also can help you open a bank account before you register or establish your company officially. If you're a joint stock company and you need to deposit 25% of the capital in the bank. So we go to the next topic. I want to remind you, if you have any specific questions, feel free to write them in the comments below, and we're going to answer them at the end of this live video. So we're going to go on to the next topic, which is a question gets asked a lot by foreigners or expats or people who are generally interested in traveling to Turkey and staying there and working there. What are the taxes for foreigners in Turkey? The taxes do not differ much from that of the citizens. You have the income tax, which varies from 15% up to 35%. So, for example, if you're earning up to 18,000 Turkish lira, or what is equivalent to $2,400 monthly, you would pay 15% income tax. From 18,000 up to 40,000 Turkish lira, which is equivalent to $5,400, you would pay 20%. If you're earning more than 148,000 Turkish lira, equivalent to $20,000 monthly, you would pay 35%. However, the corporate tax for companies is the same for domestic. For like if you're a foreigner owning a company, it just doesn't, or you're it doesn't matter if the company's owners are foreign or citizens. The corporate tax is the same. It was 20%, but now it's 22% for the last 3 years. There's a possibility that it might be decreased back to 20%, but at the moment the corporate tax is 22%. There's also taxes on expenditure. You have the famous VAT, value added tax, or in Turkish KDV. This VAT or KDV has 3 categories. The first category, usually the essential commodities and some services, it's only 1%. And then you have the second category, which is 8%. And then you have the third category, which is 18%. The 18% usually on electronic goods and most non-basic commodities or services. So you don't really pay this tax. It's more of it's a tax on the service or the product. There's also a way to like how can I say, like, let's say I make services and I get like my KDV becomes like I sell services and my KDV is 10,000 Turkish lira. Okay, I don't the people who are buying my services, they're paying me at the moment for this the difference, the 18% or 8% or 1%. If I buy or spend money and the KDV I'm spending also equals 10,000 Turkish lira, then it just balances out. There's also a special consumption tax. There are different categories. The tax topic is very huge. We're gonna be doing another episode on it later on, but for now we're just talking about it generally. The special consumption tax is usually for things like cosmetics, some tobacco products. This is different from the KDV. You don't pay it on every delivery. So this is the general thing about taxes here in Turkey. If you're a foreigner and you work abroad, like you work in another country, not in Turkey, and you want to stay in Turkey, you need to file, announce your income from where it's coming, and based on that, it's going to be decided on how much taxes you're going to pay. You can also decide to open a company if you're a freelancer and you're working for people or clients around the world. You can open a company here in Turkey and have everything like your money transfers, everything going to the name of your company, and you pay taxes depending on how much payments are going in, and depending on the income level. So we go to the next question. A lot of people are asking about the address, the work address of the company. There's something called Sanal office or virtual office. There's also home office. So do I need a physical office or can I get a virtual office? Is the virtual office legal in Turkey? This is a very common asked question. And can I use my home as an office? Well, if you want to establish a company, you need a specific address for that company. It can be a physical location, and you get a rental agreement on the physical location for the company. You can make it a home office, but you need to assign a specific room for your business. You cannot just use your home and say, like, I work at home, I have a home office. No, you need to assign a specific room, because people from the tax department can come to you and make an inspection. Okay, we go to the virtual office. So some people think like like my business is small, or I have a startup and I don't and I can't afford to open a special place on my own. I'm gonna use one of these virtual office services, which is becoming very popular in Turkey right now. So the virtual office service, you rent a table or a desk or a room there are some services it's like a shared working space. You don't really own, like in the sense that you've rented the place, but you just can come and use the table, or you can book the meeting room. You have a specific unique address in that building or area. Well, according to the law, you need to have a physical location, either a physical office or a home office, but you have to put a specific room for that. Or if you're going to be using a virtual office, then you need to assign a specific area, at least 2 meters squared, for that place. And you need to have either you there in the office, or someone who is officially representing your company and acting as a representative in case the tax department or public officials decided to come and visit you. There is an official person at that work address. So I'm going to remind you, if you have any specific questions, you can ask them in the comments below, and we're going to answer them. So what are the accounting expenses for keeping a company in Turkey? Like, how much money am I going to pay for establishing a company? Well, the minimum capital requirement, you don't need to deposit it, all of it. As we said, if you're establishing an LLC, you can deposit that money within 2 years. If you have a joint stock company, you need to deposit 25% upfront. The money is not blocked. You can withdraw it anytime you want, or spend it as the business keeps on operating. There's also the 0.04% you pay to the competition authority, and this varies depending on your capital. There's also, like, when you're preparing the documents, there's some fees you pay for notarizing the documents, the articles of association, the passport. You need to translate your passport to Turkish and notarize it. There's a fee for the translator who is accompanying you. For the monthly recurring fees, well, you like, we recommend that you have a professional certified accountant. Here they call it Mali Mushawir. It's not your typical in-house accountant. It's more of an accountant who prepares your taxes and submit the necessary documents on your behalf to the authorities. This makes sure that you are operating in the right way and you don't end up breaking the law or not paying your taxes, or like not operating how you want it. So the fee for this accountant starts from around what is equivalent to $50 and up, depending on how big your company is, what kind of activities, how much work is this accountant handling for you. There are some recurring taxes. There's like, I would say around an additional $50 to $100 of starts from that amount, which you're paying every month. There's also the stoppage tax. Stoppage tax is a tax you pay if you're renting your work office from a real person. It's 20%. You pay every 3 months of the amount, 20% of the amount of the rent you're paying. So if I'm renting a place for 1,000 Turkish lira, then I'm gonna pay 200 Turkish lira every 3 months as a stoppage tax. If you're renting your work office from a company and the company is making an invoice with KDV, then you don't need to pay the stoppage tax. So we have to we came to the end of the we came to the end. I'm sorry, I lost my voice. We came to the end of the video. We're going to look at your questions, if you have any questions. For some companies, as we said, there are special permits. For example, if you want to open a travel agency, you can open it as a limited liability company or a joint stock company. If you want to carry on operating travel services, you need to get a special license from an association called TURSAP. There are special requirements for this license. We will be covering more in-depth details about each kind of company. I guess that's it. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any more questions at any single time, please feel free to contact us. We're doing this consulting for free. We're going to be posting more content. Our next week's episode is going to be about how do you go about buying real estate in Turkey and what things you need to make sure to follow so you are making the right choice of investing. Thank you all. Wish you have a really good weekend and see you next week.